AI scares the crap out of people.
This is happening. Are you going to view this as an opportunity, or are you going to view this as a threat?
If you do it right, like, you could get your job done in 2 hours.
99% of the stuff out there about AI is a flat out distraction.
You are teaching people how to deploy AI into their teams, into their businesses, into their personal lives.
AI will not take your job. Someone who's AI driven is. You get to make the choice if that person is going to be you.
Each financial decision is not in a silo by itself. It has to be looked at and how it relates to something else in your plan. And most people are not looking at the big picture.
This is John Smallwood, and I am back on Money Isn't podcast. And I am so excited today. We are going to dive into something that if you are not interested in making yourself more efficient, you should just hit pause right now or X out of this thing, right? If you're interested in taking yourself and your teams and your networks and making them more efficient from a productivity standpoint, from a financial standpoint, from a free time perspective, you're going to want to listen to Geoff Woods. Geoff Woods is the author of the AI-driven leadership, which is #1 right now, right, Geoff?
Yes.
So congratulations and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. It's been a very rewarding journey, and I'm just so excited to see what lies ahead.
Yeah. AI scares the crap out of people.
Yes, it does.
And that's what I love about it, right? Because when a technology shows up and people are afraid of it, whether it be, the cell phone back in the day, right? Or this, it's like, well, why? Because it's threatening the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, your background, I just wanted to, this is, Geoff has done some pretty cool things. We met through the Strategic Coach, which Dan Sullivan, 10X Thinking. I've been involved in that program I'm a slow learner. So I've been in it for, since I'm 57. So I've been in it since my late 20s.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. So I've been around. But, when you go back in time, you were the Mentee podcast back in the day, right?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I see that, right?
Okay. You're going back.
I'm going back. And then you had this co-founder and president of Productive, which was really cool spelled Produktiv, a training company, right?
Yes.
But then the real power is you jump into this Jindal Steel and your title is Chief Growth Officer and an AI Executive Champion.
Yes.
And you blew that company up. I mean, company, even on the cover of the book, it's like 750 million to 12 billion. That's an incredible, that's a dream that everybody wants to take advantage of. So, and now you've got this really cool thing called the AI leadership company, and you are teaching people how to deploy AI into their teams, into their businesses, into their personal lives.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you. If there's been a central theme through all this, 2 themes. One, when I was in college, I was doing an internship, and right before graduating, I sit down with the CEO and I asked him what job I should get after school. John, he looks at me and he says, "Geoff, you're asking the wrong question." It's the first time in my life that I was introduced to the power of asking the right questions. And he said, "You should be asking, what are the skills I can master that are so valuable, they'll serve me no matter where I go."
Right. So the job is not important, the skill.
Then go find jobs that will help you build those skills. This is the best career advice I've ever received. This has been my compass from every move I've made professionally. And when people ask me, what advice do you give to kids who are growing up in a world of AI? That is it. Focus on mastering the skills that are so valuable, they will serve you no matter where you go. That is what took me from a sales career, to getting into business. You ever read The One Thing?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's Productive was the training company we built off of the book. So I partnered with Carrie Keller and Jay Papasan to turn their book into a company, which was called Productive. And I had never been a CEO before, but
Mm,
Gary and Jay said, we will just teach you, which for context, Gary built Keller Williams, largest real estate company in the world. Not a
oh,
bad
wow.
guy to learn from.
Not a
Uh,
bad.
at the core to that, I had to learn the art and science of asking the right questions. So here's that thread being pulled again.
Yeah.
And that unlocks something for me because every leader feels like they have too much to do and not enough time. And I
Yeah.
would step into companies from growth to Fortune 500. Like there's a company that delivers all your packages, very big company. I used to lead their strategic planning. I took them from a 21-page business plan down to one because I was able to ask the right questions to get leaders to separate all the things they could do to the most important things that they should do that would unlock new levels of growth. This became a superpower of mine,
So 21 pages of basically all over the place.
of things that need to happen inside an organization of 500,000 people. And by asking the right questions, getting them to separate 80%, all the 80% things that only drive 20% of the results down to the 20% things that drive 80% of the results, ranked in order of priority.
Mm,
That was very valuable. And by 2022, I sold my stake in the business, went in house as chief growth officer for Jindal Steel. I had been the coach to the chairman of the board and the exec team. This is a giant company, about 100,000 people globally. When the chairman found out I left the one thing, he asked if I would come in house. And I said,
mm.
maybe. What's the job? And he said, you tell me. And this is when I came back to what skills do I want to acquire in my life? And how can I write a job description that would require me to become the next version of myself?
If everybody approached every juncture, opportunity, whatever you want to call it in your life, is what do I need to learn from
Yes.
this, as opposed to pushing through this, think about the exponential changes
Yeah.
that, I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah. And the way they were structured, it's a family office. They owned a ton of companies. And I saw an opportunity to play at a group level, almost like an alphabet to Google, where if we developed the right growth processes at a parent company level and drove them through every operating company it might work. And there were four. It was strategy, execution, people, and technology. Strategy was about really clarifying the competitive advantage you're building in the long term through the actions you're taking in the short term. If you sit down with most leaders and say, tell me what your competitive advantage is in the future, they'll say, it's our people, or they'll give something airy fairy. That's not a moat.
Because they don't know.
They don't know because they've never asked the question.
They don't even have the right prompts to ask the right questions.
Bingo. So I wanted to create that clarity. Then execution was about, do we have a focused strategic plan that we are staying focused on that is in alignment with the competitive advantage we are building? Three was people. This will get you. The purpose of your people in a company is to achieve your goals.
Yeah,
Your
there's a
goals,
yeah. What is there?
your goals change every year. Your job descriptions do not, which means you have an inherent lack of alignment between what your people do and what you want to achieve. I wanted to realign the workforce and then harness technology to help do all of it. That's what drove the market cap, or that's part of what drove the market cap growth. It was December of 2022. I saw ChatGPT for the first time. And when I saw it, I saw the next skill.
You're like, boom, you like, that's the skill I've got to learn.
I saw it. It was a defining moment. I knew it. The challenge was there was a big part of my mindset that said, I'm so busy. I'll get to this later. Or you know what? I'll just delegate this to my tech team,
Yeah.
which is what most leaders have thought. But then I really thought, okay, I think this is going to change everything. And as a leader, I don't need to become the technical expert, but I do need to know enough to be able to cast a vision for the future in a world that's AI driven, to define what our strategy is when AI is probably going to blow up a lot of moats, and to lead the change throughout the company. You cannot delegate leadership to IT.
No.
And so I made it a personal priority to dive in. And really early on, I figured out I was asking myself the wrong questions because I was asking myself, how do I use this to write a better email? True. And I'm going, this isn't working that great. It's not that valuable. But then instead of blaming AI, I asked, what matters most to me in my role? And it was the ability to think strategically, because your ability to think strategically is the difference between growing your business or going out of business. And then I asked, how might I harness this tool to elevate my ability to think strategically or to make better decisions? That was the great unlock. And I made the pitch to the chairman of the board when I showed him what I was doing. And I said, we have to drive this through the whole company. And I think you need to drive this as chairman. And he said, I disagree. How about you do it? Problem was, I had no idea what I was doing. So partnered with Google. They taught me everything, started doing it. It worked. And eventually realized every other leader has no idea where to start with this tech. They think they're falling behind, and they are.
Yeah.
But nobody has shown leaders how they get started in a way that matters. And so I decided to write the book about it, The AI-Driven Leader, and built a company on it, AI Leadership.
Yeah, and this leadership, I mean, there's a chapter in there where I think it's the 10x impact on employees, right?
Which I
And
think is conservative, by the way. I
yeah,
couldn't put 100x because people wouldn't believe it.
I was thinking about it because as I read it, this morning I saw a post, I think it was the CEO of Shopify, and he's like, no hiring unless you can prove that AI can't do the job.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting here thinking about, this was like in my brain. And if you take this, like, as you just said with the job descriptions, like the goals are changing, but the job descriptions are not, which is the kiss of death for any organization because we're on this static static road, and we're not on a static road, right? But if you think about from a leadership perspective, if I said to my 10 support staff, right? And I said to them, use AI at every level to improve not just the quality of the email that you send, okay, but improve the process from an efficiency standpoint. And you're the driver of that. You're actually protecting your own world then because you're becoming more profitable within every step. And like most people don't know how to do that. They're afraid that like this AI thing that's out here. And I'm like, it's not a thing. It's like a bolt on. Like I think Dan said it, it's like AI enhanced people, or somebody said it, like an AI enhanced team, an AI enhanced person is how you're going to grow.
Yes.
The way I see it.
Yes. Let me share a real example so that you can start to grasp what this looks like. I was presenting to a group of CEOs, and I asked, what are the biggest problems you're facing right now that if we could solve them, it would unlock a completely new level of growth for you? The question itself is strategic. For a guy who wrote a book about AI, I really don't care about AI because AI adoption is not your goal. Building a better business and better lives is. AI is a tool that can help you do it. It can distract you from it. So if we're going to use AI, I want to make sure we're focusing on a 20% priority that's going to drive 80% of the results. I'm not interested in the 80% tasks. They don't matter. One guy looks at me and he says, I've got a good one for you. I run a manufacturing company. I leased all this equipment from a company in Japan. Things have shifted in the market. The debt's killing us. We're going to go bankrupt if it doesn't get restructured. In my mind, I'm going, is this a 20% priority? Oh yeah, let's go. What have you done? And he says, I feel like we've tried everything. And he lists off 5 strategies, John. And he said, none of this has worked because this is a public company in Japan. It's gone all the way to the board. They're refusing to restructure the debt because they think they'll lose face in Japanese society.
So they'd rather go bankrupt.
Yes. No. They'd rather let this guy go bankrupt and them take a loss on their loan. The Japanese company manufactured the equipment. They held the paper. So they'd rather take a hit on the money than if they restructure it, they think they would lose face. He goes, I have no next steps. I've hired all the consultants. Nobody can make this thing work. We're probably going out of business. Can AI help? John, I have this sticky note on my desk right now, and I'm holding it up to the camera. It says, how can AI help me do this?
Yeah.
I literally keep this sticky note on my desk every day because then when I'm doing something random, I'll see it and I'll go, well, how can AI help me review my financial statements or prepare for a board meeting or solve this problem or review my strategic plan? Like the stuff I'm already doing anyways. How can AI help me? It just triggers creativity. So I pull up, in this case, ChatGPT, and I have a framework for a prompt. It's called CRIT, C-R-I-T, context, role, interview, task.
I like that.
Context, I give AI lots of context. Role, you tell AI the type of expert you want it to be so you can harness expertise of the world at your fingertips. Interview, this is the game changer. I don't ask AI questions. I turn the tables and make AI interview me.
I was on one of your prompts through the thing, and that was like a huge shift.
Yes.
Huge shift.
Yes, because it starts to ask you one question at a time to gain deeper context so it can then accomplish the task. Here was the actual prompt. Context. I'm a manufacturing CEO. I leased all this equipment from a company in Japan. Things have shifted in the market. The debt's killing us. We're going to go bankrupt if it doesn't get restructured. I feel like we've tried everything. And I listed all 5 strategies. None of it has worked because this is a public company in Japan. It's gone all the way to the board and they're refusing to restructure the debt because they think they'll lose face in Japanese society. I have no next steps. We're probably going out of business. Role. Your role is to act as an investment banker with deep expertise in restructuring debt. Interview me. Ask me 1 question at a time, up to 3 questions to gain deeper context so you can accomplish the task of generating 5 non-obvious strategies I could deploy to get the board to restructure the debt. That was the prompt. Now, for those of you listening to this, you're probably going, holy crap, you can put that into AI? This is what I mean when I say this is not your Google, folks. This is your thought partner. Instead of giving an average answer, it turned the tables and it asked, do you have any relationships with any other influential executives in Japan that the board would respect?
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
I look at the CEO and he goes, oh, I would have never asked that. I actually do. And then it asked 2 more questions like that. And it came back and it said, here's your 5 non-obvious strategies. Number 1, it called the Saving Face Consortium. It said, you have enough relationships with the right people in Japan. Approach them to acquire your debt. Give them really favorable terms. Your debt will get restructured. Your board will save face. I turn and I look at him, John. He's actually holding back tears.
Yeah.
And he looks at the people in the room and he says, I have not slept in 90 days.
Yeah.
John, have you ever had stress that was so high that you couldn't sleep?
Yeah.
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 And he goes, but in less than 10 minutes, I got hope. 2 months later, my phone rings. It's a text from him. And it says, the ball is moving. I actually think this is going to get done.
Wow. And it is done.
It saved his company.
Saved his company. And so the prompts, the right prompt for crit, right?
Yeah.
So crit, CRIT,
Context, role, interview, task.
I freaking love that. But if you think about it, like if everybody positioned themselves, me as a leader, like you've always said, if I could have 5 of me, 1 to do this, 1 to do this, 1 to do that, and I could run, like it would be incredible. Like the old Bugs Bunny, where he has baseball, he's playing the baseball, right? And he's playing every position. But it's like, how do you give people the tool to ask the right questions in the right role that takes their role and actually protects their role?
Yeah.
But actually maximizes it.
Yeah. So let's go high level, then let's go tactical.
Yeah, please.
Most of what people do today is them still acting like industrial workers, which in the Industrial Revolution, I went back and studied this deeply to understand what we could learn from past technological revolutions. Your job is just skills you apply and processes you follow. When people say they're afraid of AI taking their job, they don't really understand what their job is. It doesn't take a job. It makes certain skills and processes more valuable. Some will remain unchanged and some will become less valuable. The problem is, in the Industrial Revolution, we had to set aside our humanity to start meeting the needs of the machines. Instead of being creative and being a craftsman, we stood in an assembly line and did something repetitively with minimal error with maximum efficiency. We stopped acting like humans and we started acting like machines.
We did, yeah.
People are still acting like machines. They show up to work on time, they take direction from a boss, and they spend most of their day checking email or Slack or Teams, bouncing from meeting to meeting, and then trying to tackle their to-do list, most of which is filled with 80% of the tasks that only drive 20% of the results. And they wonder why, when they're with their family, they're not really with their family. They're thinking about the 20% priorities at work that they did not get done.
Right.
They are acting like machines. So now let's take that and ask the question, what would it look like for us to be acting like human beings? We would be harnessing our ability to think strategically, to problem solve, to communicate, to collaborate, to create. These are the 5 skills that make humans humans that AI will not replace. It will only enhance as long as you stay in the driver's seat as the thought leader with AI as your thought partner. You are in the driver's seat. Now let's take what Dan has talked about with 10x is easier than 2x. The idea is that if you want to double your income or the size of the business, you can keep doing 80% of what you currently do. You only have to change 20%. But if you want to 10x your income or 10x the size of your business, you have to stop doing 80% of what you currently do, hold on to the core 20%, and move the balance 80 to a higher level of capability. This is why I believe AI will be the great liberator, not the great disruptor. 80% of what people do today is low value.
Yeah.
Email, meetings, to-do list. It's the
Yeah.
truth.
So true.
What if AI?
Bureaucratic hell.
Yeah. Now imagine for a second that you were a part of a company that leadership said your job is safe and we're going to up level your skills and your processes. You're going to get to stop doing 80% of what you currently do, but you're going to double down on the core 20% that's aligned with your strengths and the priorities of the role in alignment with company goals. And we use AI to enhance you, not to replace you. And then all that other 80% stuff is going to move to way higher impact things in the business. What are those things? We're going to figure it out together. To me, that's really exciting. I get for some people that still creates fear and anxiety, but here's the deal. This is what's going to happen. This is happening. So now you've got a choice to make on your mindset. Are you going to view this as an opportunity to enhance your life, or are you going to view this as a threat? It's a choice. And I really empathize with the fact that there is some fear around this. And transparently, I used to be fearful.
Yeah.
80% of what I used to do, I got paid the big bucks to ask questions to leaders. I figured out pretty quickly how to get AI to ask the same questions or better ones. But I chose to be abundant and view this as an opportunity. The version of me that you are listening to today is absolutely 10x of who I was a year ago. But it was a choice on mindset.
Yeah. And the choice of the mindset, like that negativity that comes out about protecting where it is. And you just hit me like with a baseball bat, right? Like, and I'm feeling as if when you're thinking about the roles of people in your own organization, and you may have an organization of 3 people, you might have an organization of 3,000 or 300,000, right? But let's just talk about, 50% of the jobs in the United States, I believe, come from small business, right? We're somewhere in that ballpark. And it's like that protection of inefficiency, right? Like literally by doing it the way we used to do it and sticking in the way we used to do it through the bureaucratic crap. And like, how do you break through that? And how do you, like, if you do it right, like if you're using this concept, you could get your job done in 2 hours.
So there was a study done with Boston Consulting Group and Harvard. They took 758 of their consultants. These are very well-paid people.
Yeah.
They split them into two groups. Group 1, no AI. Group 2, here's ChatGPT. Now go do your work. The results were remarkable. The people that used AI.
I was in the book. I had that.
Yeah, had a 40% increase in quality of work. They got their work done 25% faster, and they got 12% more tasks done. And that was with 0 to very little training.
And within those metrics that you just framed, I'm 100% sure profitability was exponential.
Yeah. Let me give you a real example. Here's why this is so important. Think about how you solve problems and how you go through your life.
Yeah.
You do it by recalling and applying the information that you have learned in a situation. The problem is, if you think about it, John, how many books do you think you've read in your life?
Complete cover to cover, not a lot, because I lose interest.
Doesn't even matter.
100,
500, 1,000?
Yeah, I'm 50 something. Yeah, it's got to be a couple thousand books. Started, not finished.
Who cares? What percent of that collective knowledge of the pages you did read can you recall and apply this very second?
Not a lot. Don't know.
Most people, it's like under 1%.
Yeah, if you had
right?
in the back of my mind, I might go, oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And you've done pretty well in spite of your ability to recall the minority of what you've learned, which is the minority of the information of the world. These AI models have been trained on 200 to 500 million books worth of data so far. They can recall 100% of it. And guess how long it takes it to comb through 200 to 500 million books worth of data for your specific use case and start generating an answer?
How long?
Under a second. This is like a calculator for the mind. It's a processing power we can't even comprehend. This is why it's so important to think of yourself as the thought leader with AI as your thought partner. So if I look at two people competing against one another, one's doing it the old fashioned way based on their ability to recall and apply the minority of what they've learned, which is the minority of the information of the world, versus the other one that knows how to wield a tool where they can tap into 200 to 500 million books worth of data and get access to the right things in under a second. It's like Bradley Cooper and Limitless. It's not even the same playing field. So here's a real example. The core of our business is an executive network called the AI Driven Leadership Collective.
Yes.
My belief was if you try to figure AI out on your own, you will automatically lose. It's generative. It's moving too fast. If you're just saying, I'm going to hire a consultant, you've lost. Versus if you say, I'm going to surround myself with the right people and we're going to ask each other the right questions and I'm going to get to tap into collective knowledge and then cherry pick the most important things I'm going to drive in my business, you will always be ahead of your competitors because they're trying to compete when you're trying to collaborate. So we had our first offsite for that this year. I realized after that offsite, all our systems, all our models, our entire business model was going to break this year because we're growing faster than I thought we would.
That's awesome.
It's a great problem to have. So old-fashioned way would be Geoff sits down and tries to come up with alternative business models. I also know from doing the research on decision making, the best decisions don't come from having a few options. It comes from having a large quantity of options, like 100 options that you can then compress down. The problem is there's no way I could come up with 100 alternative business models in my lifetime for this. So I just used my thought partner. I have built my own AI board.
Within the thought partner, within AI.
Yes. So I built an AI advisory board custom tailored to advise me to hit my 10-year vision. I gave it my 10-year vision. I gave it my business plan this year. I gave it my strengths and weaknesses as a founder and a CEO and had it interview me to ask what are the skills that I don't yet have, that if I could acquire them through an advisory board would allow me to hit my 10-year vision. And once I agreed on what those skills were, I had it research famous people that exemplify those skills and actually built personality profiles for every one of them. So Steve Jobs is on my board for vision and product design, but he's not allowed to talk to me about being a husband, a father, or a leader. Warren Buffett is on my board for long-term planning and risk mitigation. My future self, 30 years in the future, is on my board so I can talk with the person I want to become today. How about them apples?
Yeah.
I went to my AI board and I told it context, role, interview, task. I gave it tons of context about what's happening in the company, our growth rates, why I see systems breaking, where specifically I see things breaking. Its role was to act as the board. It could pull in whatever personality they thought was most important in the moment. And then it had to conduct an interview of me to gain deeper context. So then the task, it could generate 100 alternative business models I should consider that would allow me to hit my 10-year targets with less effort.
Wow.
It generated the 100.
Yeah.
And then without even reading them, I just said, great, now ask me 5 more questions. And then I want you to collapse it to the top 10, ranked in order of recommendation, and give me an explanation of why you're making that recommendation. Here's the twist. I did all this while I was driving because I was talking to it in voice mode. Have you ever played around with voice mode?
No.
Okay, we'll do it right now. So this is cool. So this is within ChatGPT. You can, like, by the text box, there's a little black circle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If you just click that, a big circle that looks like a blue ocean pops up.
Yep.
Hey there, I want you to engage the board. I want to specifically talk to Jeff Bezos because I've got some questions about the scale of our business. Connection failed. Tap to retry. Let's try this again. Hey there, I want to engage the board, specifically Jeff Bezos. I need him to interview me. I've got some questions about scale of our business. Just start interviewing me. And then the task that I need is I need him to help me understand the top 20% processes we should focus on automating to free our people up to deliver more value, specifically when it comes to the member experience.
Got it. Let's kick off the interview. Hi, Jeff. It's great to chat with you today. Let's start by discussing your business's scale, goals in terms of growth, and what challenges are you facing as you scale up?
Yeah. Yeah. And go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. So I talk to AI when I drive. I talk when I cook. I talk when I walk. I talk to my board all the time.
It's better than talking to yourself.
Sometimes.
Kidding. But describe the offsites for a second, because this is pretty interesting. Like, I see you've got a bunch of them scheduled, and then there's the collective that's connected to the collective, right?
Yeah. So the offsites are part of the collective. So if you are a C-level executive and you believe AI's the future, which you all should, you know you cannot just delegate this to a tech team or to a consultant. You have to stay in the driver's seat around defining your vision, your strategy, and how you're going to lead the change. But if you don't understand enough about the technology, or if you're not using it yourself at a high enough level, you can't do those things. So where do you go? This is it. So the whole idea is that we make sure that you stay focused on driving the growth of your business, and we make sure you never fall behind when it comes to AI. We show you the most important things that matter, because I'm telling you, 99% of the stuff out there about AI is a flat out distraction. It is not relevant to your business, but people are getting so caught up with what's the latest release and what's the latest function and feature and tool. It doesn't matter. What matters are the core 20% things that are going to drive 80% of your business. But who's being that filter for you? That's us. So at a high level, we have offsites where we come together for 2 days at a time. It's space to think and time to connect. Like our next one's coming up in May. We're going to have probably 80 to 100 C-level execs in there. Wow. And then in between offsites, we have technology that collective members get access to that enhances their ability to think strategically. We make sure they always have a clear roadmap on the most important things they're going to focus on. And if they don't have the internal tech talent, we've got a partnership network of companies that can do things that we've already vetted that we can connect people to. The whole idea is that you always know exactly what to do next when it comes to AI, so you're never behind and you're always ahead.
In this 80 to 100 people that are going to be at this, that have joined the collective, that will show up on site, they're the business owners or they're high level C-suite?
Depends on size of business. I'd say so far, 70% is CEO, 30% is another C-level exec or board member. And we have a lot of companies that are now signing up with like 3 to 5 people, where it's like CEO plus COO plus CFO plus chief strategy officer, because they're viewing this as an opportunity to get off site and define the vision together. That way, it's not just the make it up person in the room who then comes back to the business like a wrecking ball. They bring their integrator with them, so they make it real.
That's interesting. So,
and we're starting to open industry verticals like financial services. We're actually opening a financial services vertical because we have enough people that want it.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I think that's really powerful, because from my perspective, I think any business, but like specifically my own business, can be dramatically enhanced, improve the quality, and literally get better outcomes for your clients, which allow you to just drive success.
Totally.
So when you join the collective, it's a 12-month type process?
Yes.
So you're like part of and you're getting beyond the offsites. There's a lot of, like, just tell me a little bit big.
Yeah. So
I joined today. How does it work?
One, we onboard you. We make sure we're clear on what your goals are and why you joined. We have in the AI-driven organizational benchmark that you can take, that we would have you take, that actually shows you there's 5 levels of maturity of AI adoption. It's going to show you exactly where you are and the exact steps you need to take next. We are launching a leadership benchmark that's going to show you as a leader. There are 10 core capabilities a leader has, and there's 5 degrees of maturity harnessing AI within those core skills. We're going to show you where you fall within each of those skills, so you now have a roadmap for your own personal development, and we make sure that you start growing there. We have something you would do to define the strategy of your organization, because whatever you think your protective mode is for the future, I'm telling you, it's probably gotten blown up. So you have to redefine what the future looks like. we have a prompt that we give you. It's about a page and a half long where it turns AI into me and it interviews you and helps you identify your internal capabilities that will create a sustainable competitive advantage in the future and turns that into a single statement that becomes the rallying cry for your whole business so you can unite them around a new vision for the future. Then how do you turn that into your business plan? How do you go from business plan to the core use cases that you need to focus on that are going to unlock new levels of growth or fortify a competitive moat? This is not this is not just how do I use ChatGPT. This is strategy. This is how do we win in an AI driven future?
Yeah, like as you're saying all this, my brain is just like clicking off all these different things of like you could like there's so many loose thoughts about how you're thinking about how you're going to approach this. And you just said your business is getting your design of the future is wrong because it's already being morphed by so many other people.
Totally.
Wow. So people want to find you. AIleadership.com.
That's right. That's right. AIleadership.com. The book, The AI Driven Leaders, on Amazon, Audible, Kindle. But everything, if you have interest in the collective, that's there. The other thing we get asked a lot about is how can my team learn this stuff? Every month we do a group workshop virtually that it's a flat fee and your whole team can come. And we, in 2 hours, establish one heck of a foundation so everybody knows how to use this at an insanely high level.
Interesting. The newsletter that you have. Tell me about
I write a weekly newsletter for C-level executives that don't read email. We have over a 60% open rate because every week we share a real use case of a real leader that had a problem that used AI to solve it, and we include the actual prompt they used. That way you just start to expand your mind in terms of what's possible.
I was going to say, because that use case is going to be like, oh shit, this is how I can apply this to what I'm thinking. And oh, somebody has the same feelings that I have, because I think people are afraid to admit that, hey, I don't know this. And it's like, well, nobody really knows this, because if you've got 500 million lines, of books and knowledge and encyclopedias and podcasts and all this stuff coming together, and how do you take it and become like it's frightening for a lot of people. And
so let me make this really simple.
Powerful.
Really simple. Here's how you start. I want you to grab 2 sticky notes and a Sharpie. On sticky note number 1, I want you to write, how can AI help me do this?
I love this.
On sticky note number 2, you write context, role, interview, task. You put those 2 sticky notes on your desk or on your computer. That's it.
That's it.
Because here's what's going to happen. Your challenge is once a day, every day for the next 30 days. To pick one thing that you're already doing. I'm not asking you to do anything additional. I'm asking you, when you're doing something you're already doing, you're going to see that sticky note and you're going to go, how can AI help me review my financial statements? And then you're going to see context, role, interview, task. You're like, well, I got the framework for how to talk. And you'll open up your AI tool of choice and you'll write context, role, interview, task. And then you just fill in the blanks. Context, here's my financial statements. Drag and drop. Role, you are a strategic CFO who's world-class at telling a CEO the top 5 things they do not know about their business based on the financials that they should know about their business. Interview me. Ask me 1 question at a time, up to 5 questions to gain deeper context. Then your task is to tell me what those 5 things are. That is a real use case that I did because I was reviewing my financials and I looked down and I saw a sticky note. I now do that every month. It's mind-blowing what I know about my business based on my financials that I normally would not know about my business.
Most people that I encounter, business owners, don't know how to read their profit and loss statements. They don't know
exactly.
How to
So I have AI tell me how to read it.
Yeah. And then how do you apply it?
Then you could say, great, now interview me, and based on that, help me identify the top 3 actions I should be taking right now and explain why. I'm not kidding. This is like, somebody actually said to me the other day, they're like, oh my gosh, you're like Bradley Cooper in Limitless. Because like the type of use cases that I'm talking about, I am superhuman.
Yeah.
But it's because I've used AI to enhance me, not to replace me.
Right. And that's the thing that drew me to this conversation, because my belief is we are all enhanced by everything that we apply and we take. And if we use something strategically with the 2 prompts on the yellow sticky notes that are in front of me every single day, and you make a methodology as a leader in your organization that your key players do the same thing.
Yeah.
And you incentivize on efficiency and time, and then you give them back their time. Holy shit.
John, I took this so seriously, I had it engraved on my Yeti. How can AI help me do this? I literally just keep little triggers throughout my world just to when I was getting started. But now it's so second nature that all the time I think about it. And now it's about me empowering the team. My marketing person brought me something the other day. You know, she has goals for how our email list is going to grow, for example. And we're behind on Q2. And I asked her if she thought that she had the sufficient drivers identified and being executed on that could make up the gap and hit our goal for the quarter. And she brought me back a plan. She's like, bottom line is we don't have the sufficiency, but here's my plan. My first question to her was, did you use AI to evaluate if what you're proposing has the sufficiency? And if not, to come up with non-obvious strategies we could deploy so you still hit your goals.
What'd she say?
She goes, oh my gosh, I haven't. And so she went and she brought back an entire briefing of different things that we could be trying. And this is the leadership side of this is you go first, leaders walk the talk, and then you hold a standard for new people. Like you talked about the Shopify CEO that came out and basically said, AI usage is a standard now. It is not a suggestion. He said in there, we suggested in the past that you used AI. That was a mistake on our part. This is now required. And one of the points that you called out is they said, before you ask for more headcount or more resources, you have to prove that you have fully maximized your team and your processes with AI.
That is powerful.
This is good leadership. This is good leadership.
Really good leadership.
So now it's about the people on the team asking the question, who can I become? They can cling to the way things used to be, or they can reimagine who they can become. Your job as a leader is to lead them with empathetic strength, be empathetic to the fears and the anxieties while also being strong about saying, this is where we are going. We're going to give you the training. We're going to give you the support, but we will not do it for you. And there are going to be people that will self-select to lose their jobs.
Yes.
I got really fired up about this. My daughter had a sleepover last weekend, and the dad of one of her friends came over and he saw me signing a bunch of books and he goes, the AI driven leader, AI scares the heck out of me. And I said, really? Tell me why. And he said, well, I've been on disability for over a decade, so I'm good. But my partner, he processes payroll. I think it's going to take his job. And I said, I think the skills he's currently applying and the processes he is currently following, yes, I think those are likely going to be augmented or automated by AI. And I think the work that he is doing is going to massively shift. And I said, but here's the good news. He gets to learn new skills. 6 out of 10 jobs that exist today didn't exist in 1940. In every technological disruption, more jobs were created than less.
Yeah.
He's just gonna up level his skills. His answer to me was, no, he's 60 years old. He's stuck in his ways. He's not interested in learning. John, I was furious.
That's so many people.
Because he's the sole provider now for his family. I care about his kids.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Kids. They have
How dare you have that kind of a mindset when you're providing for your family? And it's the people that have that kind of mindset. Like, again, I empathize, but hopefully this is a wake-up call for you to say, I get if you're afraid, and you need to know what you're afraid of. You still got to start using the technology, because once you do, you're going to figure out what it can do and, more importantly, what it can't do. And it will become a lot less fearful. But AI will not take your job. Someone who's AI driven is. You get to make the choice if that person is going to be you.
Bang. Mic drop. This is awesome. I truly appreciate you sharing this. And I urge everybody to go to the AIleadership.com and AIleadership.com, sorry, and subscribe to the newsletter for the 65% open, right? Join the collective and get to a workshop. This is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, this is great. And I think we should do a follow-up on this.
Let's do it.
I think I should jump into the collective and do some stuff there too. Personally.
Let's do it. I will ask, if this episode brought value to you, the biggest thing you can do to help me outside of getting the book and leaving a review on that, write a post on LinkedIn or whatever social media platform that you follow. Just write a post saying you listen to this podcast and share what you learned, because there is so much fear and so much a lack of clarity on what to do with AI. And you'll help a lot of people if you
Wow.
share this and tag us. I actually literally, LinkedIn's my core platform. I respond to everything I'm tagged in.
That's awesome. And not an AI bot responding.
Actually, me.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Geoff. And I look forward to getting to know you better. This is
Likewise.
a wonderful experience. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Talk to you soon.